Michael Bisping and Paul Felder comment on fighters getting easily irritated and triggered by trash talk from fans, especially on social media. We're used to seeing elite UFC fighters get into arguments with random people on Twitter or Instagram, and many times it's even more absurd than a heated back and forth with somebody who would only be able to express their thoughts in that manner while behind a screen. It's fighters trying to qualify their achievements to a troll that is simply looking to get more and more investment from them, just aggravate them and appease the online audience that witnesses it. All of this does create some entertaining exchanges though, and it seems like this won't stop anytime soon, as fighters aren't showing any signs of becoming wiser to this type of behavior online. From Jon Jones to Jamal Hill, the battles to defend their legacy with faceless profiles continue. Bisping and Felder share thoughts on fighters, engaging with negative comments and trolls, offering them advice on how to handle such things.
We see it too often now. Guys really do get we're even seeing it from Jon Jones right now. He's coming back at all the people that are saying, oh, he's ducking, and he keeps doubling down on his stance on not wanting to take the fight, why he shouldn't have to take the fight. And you just let these people, you think at this level of the game, when you've had this much exposure, this much experience, we're talking champions here. We're not talking some guy making his debut who's getting insulted, who, haven't built up the thick skin yet. Jamal's been a champion. He's fought some of the bigger names. Jon Jones, the greatest of all time, and they still get bothered by what people are saying on social media. And I get it. I've seen the things that get said to you. I know the things that have been said to me. And at this stage in the game, you gotta just let shit slide off your back a little bit, man, and just take the criticism, put it in here, and prove everybody wrong.
CIRYL Gane talks about the possibility of facing Tom Aspinall next year. The French heavyweight hasn't fought inside the octagon since his knockout victory over Sergey Spivak last year. With the situation at the top of the weight class so uncertain and dynamic, the addition of Gane in the championship context makes things spicier, as the Frenchman has unique speed and striking ability, especially by heavyweight metrics, and has looked phenomenal in all of his fights, except for the devastating loss to Jon Jones. He's scheduled to face Alexander Volkov on UFC 310, a rematch that has potential to look very similar to their first clash, though we can expect some more grappling from Volkov to offset CIRYL's movement in there. The outcome of this one is important for both fighters to become considered as potential title challengers again. One of the most stylistically promising matchups at the top of the division remains the fight with CIRYL and the British interim champion, Tom. In his latest interview, Gane shared his thoughts on the possibility of this happening.
He's on a really good race. I don't remember exactly, maybe four victories or something like that. And so he's still really dangerous and improved on the last fight against Pavlovich. Every people talking about Pavlovich like he's the next one, and he won. So this means something.
Is this a fight that you're interested in 2025 now? You versus Tom?
Oh yes, of course, because he's just behind me.
Yeah.
So yeah, every time I'm looking for the guy behind me because I want to be the best. Unfortunately, we're looking for this fight during this year. But it was not possible because Tom looking for the best for him and looking for above him. That's completely normal. And but yeah, if this happening, yeah, we will be really happy with the team.
Dana White is not happy about some UFC fighters' antics outside the octagon. Problems with different characters in this sport, getting into trouble and forcing Dana to make statements and decide whether to fire them from the company or not is something that happens not too infrequently. The last such case that created a little scandal that we can recall is the whole Muhammad Mokaev situation. When the flyweight was cut from the company after causing trouble during fight week, ultimately starting a brawl between his and Manel Cup's teams. The actual fight in the octagon, playing out in complete contrast of what the fans expected, with Mokaev forgetting to bring that heat to the actual fight as well, possibly pushed Dana even further to just end Muhammad's contract and get rid of him. There were many similar cases over the years, where a fighter's behavior resulted in Dana publicly criticizing them or the company cutting ties with them, so this is nothing new. Well, it seems Dana has had enough of this type of recurring ignorance and irresponsible behavior, and he's now letting people know that there are fighters that currently compete in the UFC who aren't good guys, but that he needs to mask that side of their personality in order to sell them to us. These comments are more open and revealing than Dana has ever been about this aspect of the game. In a recent podcast, the hosts brought up the street fight that Khamzat Chimaev and Shara got into in a Russian metro station about a week ago, to which Dana answered briefly, hinting that bad characters in the sport are an inevitability, and a part of his job is to basically lie to the public about this. When asked about the brawl with Khamzat and Shara, this is what Dana said.
It doesn't matter to me. The thing is with me is when you come in, whoever you are, that's what I'm selling, right? What I don't like is there's people that come in that are pieces of fucking shit. There's guys that are bad guys.
Yeah.
My job is to make sure you don't know
That he's a piece
who
of
the
shit.
fucking pieces of shit are.
Right.
Jan Anik and Kenny Florian discuss Merab Dvalishvili's next fight and speculate on the possibility of the bantamweight champion choosing to defend his title against Petr Yan next instead of Umar or anybody else. Merab's clearly expressed position of not being interested in sharing the octagon with Khabib's cousin Umar next explains his enthusiasm of giving Yan a rematch, despite the first fight being so one-sided, with Dvalishvili dominating the former champion for the entirety of the fight. The tendency of calling fighters scared for their preference to choose one matchup over another, especially while they hold the belt, is not surprising from the newer generation of fans. So, when it became clear that Merab prefers fighting guys with bigger names instead of a prospect with a big last name but relative lack of achievement in the division, many attributed this to him ducking and trying to avoid the more difficult bout, just because it is potentially more challenging. Kenny shares his thoughts on this point as well.
Nobody's going to bat an eye if Petr Yan gets a championship opportunity, but do you think it will be Umar, or do you think that, this Merab push is actually going to materialize into a title shot for Petr Yan?
It could happen strictly on the fact that the UFC loves to have title fights on their pay-per-view cards, and the fact that timing-wise it may not work out for Umar Nurmagomedov.
Right.
So they may try to put together this fight, especially if Merab is all gung-ho about it. And for Petr Yan, it's like, how does he say no to a title shot if he is offered it, even if it's in kind of a couple-month turnaround? He may, but those opportunities do not come around often. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens. It could very well happen. Who knows?
What do you think is a tougher fight for Merab? Do you think it's a rematch with Petr Yan or a fresh matchup with Umar Nurmagomedov? And I apologize for putting you on the spot. You know I like the fresh matchups, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem as though Team Merab wants to give Umar this opportunity.
I do think Umar is a more difficult matchup than Petr Yan for sure.